Hello, world. Welcome to Live with Love. Here we create a safe space so that you can love the way we are loving you. Today's topic will be on trauma bonding. But before I get into that, please let me know what city you are tuning in from. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Today, I wanted to discuss trauma bonding and what that looks like in relationships. Oftentimes, we see in trauma bonding relationship excuses or justifications being made for a person's behaviors. I'm here to tell you, stop associating pain with love. Love does not hurt. Are you in a trauma bond or are you in a loving relationship? These are two questions you must ask yourself when you are in a relationship or forming a new relationship with someone, whether that's a romantic relationship, friends, family members. Always evaluate your relationships with these two questions. Are we bonding over trauma? Or is this a loving relationship where I can be myself? I love myself enough, I accept myself enough, and I'm not looking for the validation from anybody else. Okay? For me personally, I am always self evaluating myself. So therefore, I must evaluate my tribe, those people that are around me. So, ladies, when we are bonding and building these friendships with new women or even partnerships or family ships, whatever relationship it is, first ask yourself, is this a trauma bond or is this a safe space for me, for all of me? Next slide, please. So we get into what is a trauma bond. A trauma bond is going to be a feeling you have attached to someone who has hurt you physically, mentally, or emotionally. You may even feel like you cannot live without this person. Here are a few signs of trauma bond. We tend to minimize the abusive behavior of the other person. Fear leaving because what they might do. The relationship is very intense. You may feel like you're walking on eggshells. They feel like an addiction, ladies. I feel like I've heard this so many times before, even in my friendships. I'm addicted to that man. I feel like I cannot live without him. That is a trauma bond. And a few crumbs of love leave us feeling elated. Next slide, please. Trauma bonds can be formed between a child and a parent, partners, friends, family members, co-workers, bosses, things of that nature. As a child, we rely on our parents. And that's where the trauma bond occurs when they may feel like we may feel like we were neglected, verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, but then comes in those happy moments or those great times, but again, followed up with a form of abuse. So that is trauma bonding. And also that is love bombing. Love bombing is the part of us of the relationship that makes us stay. Because we get these really highs, feelings of emotions where everything is just perfect, everything is just great. But then there's that time where abuse is taking place. And I feel like that's where the cycle just continues to spiral out of control because then we fall in love with the person that we want them to be or that they portray themselves to be until that mask starts to fall off. And then it quickly gets put back on with another love bombing phase. So between a child and a mother or any other parent, that's where abuse may show up. In partners or friendship or coworkers or things like that, you'll see instances where you may bond over a shared trauma. So ladies, if you hanging out with your girlfriends, out to dinner, having drinks, and the only topic of discussion is something traumatic that has happened to you both, that you both share. Um, when you're ladies, when you're dating a man, or fellas too, when you're meeting a lady and you both have the same childhood experiences where, I don't know, maybe your mother was addicted to drugs, or your father was addicted to drugs, and bam, that is the link that puts you together. That is bonding over a trauma. That is a trauma bond. You feel you can relate to this man or this woman because you guys share this traumatic experience together from your childhood. Um, Same again with the ladies when you're forming a relationship. I don't know, maybe you have been in an abusive marriage before, and you meet this lady or your coworker in the same experiences, and so now you guys feel like there's a connection that you're trying to share or bond with each other over trauma. That is a trauma bond. That is a traumatic response. So be careful with those. You'll see yourself in these continued cycles over and over again if you continue to rely on creating these relationships over traumas and trauma bonding with this person. Same, it may show up in family members. I see it all the time where something may have occurred in your childhood and your favorite cousin showed up, and they kind of had this superhero effect or this superhero cape on where they rescued you from this situation, but they always bring it up. They always throw it in your face that they were your savior from this place. That is bonding over a trauma. He or she is throwing that in your face just to keep you coming back for more. That's love bombing. Okay. Next slide, please. How to heal from a trauma bond. Know that you are stronger than the trauma bond. Okay. Um, there is a way, and know that there is a way out of this cycle. You do not have to keep repeating this cycle. Be willing to let go of the toxic hope. I feel like with trauma bonding, like I said before, it's always you fall in love with the potential of somebody. You fall in love with the potential, the behaviors that they display, but then they come back and with the, with something else to hurt you. So, but then you remember the good times, you remember the fun times. Let that go when you're trying to heal. So the first step I'm going to throw out there is to acknowledge that this is a trauma bond and it is trauma. And if you can, sit down with that person and try to have a conversation with them. Be raw and authentic with your feelings and emotions. And be careful and mindful when you have this conversation with people of gaslighting. That's going to be key. If this person is able and willing to acknowledge their behavior and change their behavior for you, if they really love you, if this is a loving relationship, right? And not a trauma bond. Gaslighting shows up when the person is going to diminish your feelings and emotions. I have also seen it where a person will simply deny that any of that ever occurred. So be careful, be mindful of that, have knowledge that that is a trauma bond and you are being gaslit. Okay. Two. Oh, I need that. To have compassion for yourself. Have compassion and grace for yourself when you are trying to identify and heal from a trauma bond. I cannot say that enough. Have compassion for yourself more than you would have compassion for that other person, because this is a tough experience. This is very, very tough to go through and acknowledge that, one, you may have stayed in this situation or relationship way too long. And that's hard. That is tough to accept accountability sometimes. So have compassion. I'm going to say it. I hate to say it, but I love to say it. Seek therapy. My Black people, therapy is not scary anymore. Mental health is not scary anymore. I go to therapy. The healer always needs healing. I'm telling you, I have a therapist. She has a therapist. We need therapy. Therapy is okay. Please find and seek a therapist that you like and love and can be real and authentic with. Okay? Go to therapy, people. Men, go to therapy. Ladies, go to therapy. Get your children in therapy, even at a young age. We all have trauma that needs to be addressed. Trauma is passed down by generation and generation. We've already discussed this in previous lives. So go to therapy. I promise you, you will love it. The key to therapy is to find a therapist that you can relate to. A lot of us Black women, we trying to find other Black women to be our therapist. Sometimes you may connect with that Hispanic or Latino therapist, and that's okay. Fellas, maybe you do connect more with women. So it's okay to have a woman therapist. I know you probably want a male therapist because you look like him, you may sound like him, maybe even shared experiences with him. But you may relate more to a Black woman, and that's okay too. Just go to therapy though. Therapy is like non-judgmental conversations, right? Sometimes we'll say, I can talk to my best girlfriend, or I can talk to my buddy. But sometimes that information can be miscued because they love you. Sometimes they may just tell you things because they love you. Whereas a therapist is going to come at it at a different angle, all different angles. They're not there to judge you. They don't even know you. And technically, they only can only know what you share. So therapy, what you put in is what you get out. If you're going in there, oh, I don't want that therapist to know my business. Well, they can only know so much to help you. So go to therapy. It helps. Next, I'm going to say educate yourself on trauma bonding. Educate yourself on the topic so that one, you feel validated. You know, okay, this is a normal reaction. This is a normal feeling that I'm feeling, and it's okay. So when you start to educate yourself, you start to acknowledge, I don't know, maybe parts that you played in, or really get to know exactly what is happening because you don't know what's happening and you think it's so normal because it's happened so long. Okay. So educate yourself on what trauma bonding is. And I feel like that's going to be easier for you to be able to heal once you have the knowledge. Um, Create boundaries. Boundaries is going to be very important. One, because sometimes I feel like it's hard for people to cut someone out of their life that has hurt them, especially if it's like a mother, a parent, like a mother, father who has been there through the very beginning, been there through everything, right? Especially I see this in my Black community all the time, my family. I can't cut my mama off. I can't cut my cousin off. We've been through this and this. But once you sit down and really evaluate that relationship, you may notice that it is only a trauma bond. It's been there. Okay, I'm not saying don't cut them off completely, don't ever talk to them again, but set boundaries if you have to do that. If you don't want to let this person go, set clear boundaries with that person and do not allow them to bend, break, or turn your boundary a whole different way. Be firm and say, hey, this is my boundary with you. I love you this much, and I'm not going to not have you in my life, but this is what I accept and this is what I don't. And if you cannot follow these boundaries and set boundaries with me and for me, then I'm going to have to part ways, or this is how I react to you going forward. So set boundaries. And if you can, I say cut that person out of your life, especially if we going back up to acknowledgement and they're gaslighting you, discrediting your feelings and emotions. I'm not sure why you would even want that person in your life anyway. And I'm sorry to say it, but even if it is a mother, Sometimes you have to love people from a distance. And if they're not respecting you, you can't respect them, let them go. It's okay. Family members are also here to teach us lessons in this lifetime. Okay, remember that. Just because they are family does not mean you have to be loyal to them if they continue to hurt you, if they continue to cross your boundaries. It's okay to love them from way over there because, again, families, we are placed, we choose our families, we choose our lessons that we want to learn before we come here. Soul contracts, right? And that also includes the family members. Okay, they're teaching us lessons as we go through life too. Okay, a mother, a brother, a cousin, those are just titles of people. Those are, put it as titles as lessons being learned. Okay, that's my 2 cents on that. Create boundaries. And I'm going to follow up with self-care. If you do not have a self-care routine, trying to get out of or break a trauma bond is going to be extremely hard. I'm here to tell you myself, you have to set time for yourself, whatever that looks like. If every day, no matter what, you are going to end your day in a candlelit bath with your aromatherapies going, your crystals lining your tub, make that a routine for you. That's your self-care. For me, self-care a lot of times is simply sitting at my table or my desk journaling. If I can get a journal session in every night, I am happy with life. When I don't, when I skip out on my journaling, life can get a little crazy. I am one who has to release my feelings and emotions. Otherwise, they bottle up inside of me and just stack and stack and stack and stack and stack. And I may explode in the most unpredictable moment in time. But that's because I did not follow self-care. I did not release and unload in my journals as I should. Okay, you come first. You are going to create this loving relationship with self so that when we do step back out into trying to form relationships and bonds with other people, we have all of the tools and the love and self-acceptance and all of that already within us. So we're not looking for that validation from anybody else. Anything else is an addition. It's adding to that. We're not looking for any of that in somebody else. That's because we have self-care, we have self-love, we have self-acceptance, we have self-healing, we have self-elevation, right? So we're not looking for that in anybody else to come in with a trauma bond. They're going to love bomb me. They're going to show me a good time, and then they're going to hurt me. And then they're going to come back and show me a good time. And the cycle just repeats, trauma bonding. So this session was on trauma bonding. And those are my tips and tricks for healing from a trauma bond. Next slide, please. Couple crystals, because here at WithLove, we love crystals, we love herbs. So amethyst is going to be awesome, 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 awesome when we are dealing with trauma bonding, when we are trying to heal from trauma bonds. Healing in general, amethyst is going to be like key and top notch. It's really good for healing emotional pain, really good for the nervous system. When we're experiencing trauma, our nervous system is all razzled. It's fried. It's going haywire. So amethyst is going to calm us and relax us. Amethyst is going to calm us down. Our anxiety is going to help us connect with our higher self. Okay. So amethyst will be a great crystal to have when we are trying to heal from trauma bonds. Next slide, please. Valerian root is going to be herb of the week or herb of the topic. Valerian root. Love, love, love valerian. Valerian root over at withlovecrystals.com is $2.75 per ounce. Valerian root is going to calm and relax that nervous system, like we just talked about. So any traumatic things that you're going through, trust me, that nervous system is always flickering, it's always on edge. You need something to calm you down. This is going to give you like that sedative um, feeling, just simply calming that chatter. Really good for insomnia. So if you're anything like me, where late at night the thoughts just start to flow. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to this. That's gonna knock you out. Valerian root is going to knock you out. Okay, add this to your nighttime routine, your self love care. Put valerian root in that nighttime tea or your bath. Right. So if you're soaking in there, because we know our skin is our largest organ, so anything we put on it is going to get in us. So if you're soaking in the tub with valerian root, it's going to calm you and relax you and get ready for bed. Going to turn that brain off. Um, it's also good for many other things like menopause symptoms. If you have an addiction, sometimes a lot of people who unfortunately experience trauma have addictions, whether that's drinking, smoking, and any other addictions. That's going to help with those addictions, help cut those ties. Um, and it's just simply there to calm and relax you. It's a great herb to have on hand. I always have that in the cabinet. Even you can give it to your children as well. So that is my take on trauma bonding. What is trauma bonding, ladies, fellas, everybody? Always acknowledge a relationship, evaluate it, and see, do you guys bond over a trauma? Or is this a loving relationship where I can be my true, authentic self? So thank you for tuning in to my live with love on trauma bonding. I will talk to you guys next week on our next topic. Drop in the comments too what topics you guys want to hear me speak on or elaborate more on. Is there an herb you want more me to talk about? Is there a blend of herbs you want me to talk about? Is there a crystal, certain crystals you want me to talk about? Let me know. I'm loving it here. I love the way you are loving yourself. I'm out. Thank you. I love you all. Mwah.